These events, our goal is to help educate you on some of the things we see, some of the trends we're seeing in the marketplace, so you can make decisions about what you can do to help achieve your own business goals. So first of all, thank you very much for coming today. My name is Lisa, and I am serving right now as an interim vice president of sales for Twin State. So I've known the Tinsman family, the owners, for a long time, and they are currently looking to hire a vice president of sales. So if you know of anyone, we are actively interviewing. And so I am filling that role indefinitely until that hire can be made. And I just want to say thank you for coming today and go over a couple logistics. So I am not a tech person, but I am a business owner, and I am actually a Twin State customer. So my perspective is, I feel like valuable, but definitely I'm going to be down a notch from the two people who are going to follow me. So as techie as I get is making notes on my phone so I don't forget to put stuff down. So I just want to make sure I cover a few things. Number one, we have handouts, which I think you all have. You should have an agenda. There is a handout of a document that we use in SEO work that I wanted to make sure you had a copy of, because I'll put it up here as an example. And then we had to save the date for our next, and we think it's going to be our final event for 2024. And then a survey at the end. So we do these events because we are trying to be a resource for the community, for our customers, and for our non-customers. I mean, we want to offer this to be a thought leader in the community and in our market, and we want to help small businesses like ours grow and succeed. And if you do business with us, great. And if you don't do business with us, that's fine also. This is a part of our business that we have invested in because we think it's important for us to help, foster the climate in the community here and help small, medium-sized and large businesses. And IT is tough. So I am a consultant. I've worked in consulting for 20 years. I own a business with my husband, and IT is always, like a black hole of confusion for us. We don't know how it works. We don't know anything about it, but we know we need it, and it's becoming a more and more essential part of doing business and being successful. And actually, now working with Twin State has been great because I understand that even more. But I think these events, our goal is to help educate you on some of the things we see, some of the trends we're seeing in the marketplace, so you can make decisions about what you can do to help achieve your own business goals. So we also have some swag over here on the counter. Make sure you grab a few things on your way out. Down the hall are restrooms. So if you need restrooms, they were right when we walked in. I just wanted to point that out. Like I said, we have our last event on October 29th, which is right by Halloween. It's called Don't Get Spooked by Cybersecurity. That is a real thing. Most of you probably carry commercial insurance policies. It's affecting insurance. It's affecting decisions we have to make about running our business. It certainly affects you if you have an event. And so, but it's also, there's a lot out there. So that event, we have that plan so that we can give you kind of the nuts and bolts of it, minimum things that you need to be thinking about, and answer questions that you have. So that's going to be really fun. We're going to dress up and wear costumes, and it's right before Halloween, probably have spooky themed food. So just come even if it's just for that. And then there's a survey in your handouts also, because we want to get your feedback. So at the end of this, if it's a simple little 5-question survey, it's really helpful for us, because if we're going to put these out into the market, we want to make sure we're doing what you want us to. So any feedback would be great. Okay, so with that, I am up first talking about SEO and web maintenance. And first thing I'm going to just talk about is, what is SEO? Most of us have heard the term search engine optimization. In a nutshell, it is investing in your website in order to improve your Google performance. So all of us have customers, Over 70% of customers now are going through and doing an extensive web search before they ever pick up the phone and start calling to talk to somebody. So if you are not active on the web and you're not performing well on the web, you're out of the running before you even realize that somebody was looking for the work, okay? So what SEO does is it helps our website look better and perform better so that Google likes us. And when somebody's searching, business administrative services near me, if that's what you do, you want your website stacked with that information so that you're popping up above everybody else and beating your competition. So like I said, the second bullet point is just we want to make sure we're pulling up at the top of the rankings. Your website scores, you want your website to score well with Google Analytics, and Google updates their analytics. And so that's another thing. If you're not updating your site and you're not working with somebody to do search engine optimization and web maintenance, Google can be changing their analytics and those algorithms, and then your site is falling further and further down in the rankings because you're not keeping up. There is definitely competitive pressure to evolve. So we have to always be thinking about how to outdo our competition. And honestly, the reality is a lot of your customers may never even make it into your brick and mortar or physical site. A lot of people just do business online now. And so your website can be the face of your business and can present you any way that you want. And some of your customers may only make it that far. And then there may be like an AI impact. So Kyrie, you were talking to me about this, that some people are using AI to help with their search. Can you say a few things about that?
Yeah, sure. So when people are searching for anything in particular, they may ask some basic questions about, let's just say you own a plumbing business, and they will literally type into ChatGPT what's going on with their bathroom, let's call it. And ChatGPT will spit out a bunch of information for them in terms of who they are looking for or what services specifically they may need to look for. So when you think about SEO, if someone is looking up for a specific service and they type that into Google and you are not ranked for that specific keyword, you wouldn't pull up at all. So just to piggyback off what Lisa's been talking about, you want to make sure you're scoring well with analytics and that any service you do scores well, because that may be what someone types in.
And so we just want to make sure people don't think that that AI can replace what's happening on Google. You still have to be very invested with what's happening with Google. And so obviously it's important for many reasons. We talked about how your website is really the front door to your business now, because your customers are going to find you there before they find you at your actual location. It's important for lead generation. Some of our customers, a lot of our customers invest in SEO because they want to procure leads. They want people searching for the things they need and sell to find them. And that's one way to track ROI as well. But also it's just about brand elevation. And so if you have a really nice looking site and it performs well and it tells the story about your business in a nice way, you want to make sure that people are actually seeing it. And so we had a project we just did, going to be doing with a library. They're not necessarily out there fishing for patrons. They're in a community, everyone, if they're going to go to the library, they know where they are, but they want to use their site and look at SEO to help get them out there more, to make people more aware of the events they're having, programs they're running, and just to get more traffic to their site. Websites are expensive, so you want to make sure that your constituents are finding it and using it. There are other options besides SEO. One very popular one is pay-per-click with Google. And that's basically where you run ads and you pay Google, and when somebody searches, your ad pops up. It's not as effective as SEO. Number one, it looks like an ad. So you can tell, most consumers can tell that is an ad, and they'll skip over and go down right to the actual organic search rankings. It definitely will give you data and it will give you clicks, but it doesn't necessarily give you qualified leads. So for example, in the business that my husband and I own, we did pay-per-click for probably 6 years and never really got anything out of it besides data. So people would click on it and then they send you a report that says, here's what they were searching when you popped up. So we try to use that search info to update our site and put new words and phrases in. But eventually we signed a contract with Twin State to do SEO because I was like, this isn't working. And we paid how much money in paid ads? And marketing firms and digital marketing firms will call you all the time trying to sell you this type of stuff. And really, SEO is still the best way to go. And now we're finally doing it. Like the cobbler whose kid has no shoes telling you all this advice, and then it took us a long time to learn our lesson. So the process is basically an audit first to get current state, then there's copywriting, because once you do the audit and see what needs to happen, you have to develop the content to make your site perform better. So the audit is amazing. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then you execute it and monitor. So you get your audit, you see where you're at, you develop your content to make your site better, you execute it, put everything there, and then you're monitoring it on an ongoing basis. Typical timeline for seeing results could be 3 to 6 months. So you're not gonna update your site and then the next day your email's flooded with leads or people wanting to do business with you. But over time, it does really work. Okay, so I showed you here, this is, a typical example. We have, you sign your contract. Let's say you signed your contract in May. You have the audit kickoff meeting. Beth Yeager, who's sitting over here and is really happy that I'm calling her out in front of everyone, does our SEO, and she's fantastic to work with. You have a kickoff meeting, and she just does an interview and gets all kinds of information from you about your business goals and where you want to try to grow and improve and what you're trying to accomplish. And then you do bi-weekly meetings to review all the progress and data and continue to make decisions. So I met with Beth, she interviewed me, and then she did all of this analysis and competitive research and looked at the market, and they have software that helps them pull all these reports, and then came back to me and said, if this is what you're trying to be recognized for, here's words, here's phrases, here's this, here's data showing this would pop up, how likely this is to get the results, how often is this being searched, how much would you stand out compared to your competition. I was floored. It was amazing. And then she gives you all that information about what you need to do to improve your, you need to add this many words to this page, you need to build in these keywords and phrases. Really, really helpful hand-holding. The audit was complete in about a month. And then you can start updating your content. Probably will take you 3 to 4 weeks to update all of your content and get that written. And then if you get all of your content uploaded, by October, probably realizing some success and starting to see some improvement in the number of people finding you. Okay, so you all have copies of these, and these are examples of reports that I got from Beth. And so it just talks you through, they give you an overview, how do you read this document? And I got one of these for each of the areas and pages that I was wanting to either update or add to my site. And so you can see on that second page where it says page name widgets, super helpful. It's telling you like what's your target keyword phrase, what's the page title, what all of these things, so that I don't have to figure this out by myself. She just tells me exactly what it should have. Then you see my target keywords under the keyword information. So she's saying, here are your targeted keywords. You want to build these in. And then underneath are more recommended words. So I'm not just typing in the same phrase, like Lisa is awesome 20 times on my page. I'm going to put the targeted words, some recommended words. She tells me what to call the header, header A, header B, header C. Tells me my word content suggestion. So she's saying, you currently have 259 words on this page, and it really should have 700. If you want Google to like you, you need to increase the number of words on this page. And then readability suggestion, she's saying, here's where you rank now, this is where you want to be. So I was doing okay, but I need to improve it a little bit. So that to me was like great. Now I can go and start updating my pages much more easily. And so these reports are provided to you along with a whole bunch of other data that she'll share. SEO results. So it's measurable results. We give you traffic position by comparison. We talk about what goals you are completing. And then this is an example of what we can show you some of the reporting, a lot of the reporting. And one of our clients, Liquor Grow, their average position in 3 months improved from showing up at spot number 88 to spot number 68. So it just showed how they were progressing up in the rankings. And we can customize it to what you want to see and what's important to you. There are a lot of reporting options with the programs that we use, but some of it may be more relevant to you than others, and so we could work through that with you. But this is something you want to be asking about no matter who does your SEO, because SEO is not necessarily cheap. It's not expensive, but if you have something in the works, you want to make sure you're always getting data like this so that you can make decisions about how to improve. Okay, so monthly maintenance. This is also something tech companies will talk about. If you have a website, they'll talk about SEO. They'll also talk about monthly maintenance, which is ongoing monitoring and support. Most companies will not even develop a website for you if you don't have a monthly maintenance plan. So TwinSay is actually one of the only companies I've worked with where you can do a website and the monthly maintenance is optional. Most tech companies won't do it because if you don't have ongoing monthly maintenance with your site, you aren't going to like your site as much. You just aren't, because it's going to sit there, it's not going to change, it's not going to evolve, it won't be updated, and it won't perform for you the way that you want. So our customers who do have monthly maintenance plans, which means they're paying us, a set rate every month to work on their site, and them like their sites exponentially better than our customers who do not do monthly maintenance plans. Some of the whys, like I said, you don't want your website to fall to the bottom of the rankings. You don't want to lose business to your competition because they're doing better than you. You don't want 6 years or 8 years to go by and your website's not updated. Also another thing that I'm guilty of. You want to make sure you stay in compliance for ADA. There's actual legal ramifications for that if you're not keeping in that compliance. And then who do you work with? TSTS or whoever your tech partner is, you're working with them. You should have a team and then one person at your business who's going to be the champion and drive that. Typical budget could be $1,000 to $1,200 per month, but one lead, one new customer driven by this, it obviously pays for it, and it's cheaper than hiring a sales rep. And I am a 20-year sales rep, so I love salespeople, and I think there's no substitution, but still, this can go a very long way. Okay, any questions? Yes?
What are the lead time for kicking off an SEO project?
I think we're probably running, 5 weeks right now, Beth, do you think? About 5 weeks? So if you signed today, we'd start you sometime in October. Yes?
How often do website customers engage in SEO?
That's a good question. Kyrie, what would you say?
Especially most of our recent customers, they all do it.
Yeah.
It's usually done on their old site. So what can usually be done is SEO on your current site, and then all that content can be used on the new website we create for you.
I think it's becoming something more and more that we're really pushing as this is just part of your website project. Like I said, it doesn't really work if it's just optional because the site's not going to perform as well. Yes?
You talked a little bit about how much website maintenance costs. How much does SEO typically run?
SEO can run, usually it's about $4,000, $4,000 to $5,000, depending on how much time we have on it, and that's your one-time fee. So SEO, to do the audit and to do the project with Beth, is a one-time fee that you do pay, and then the monthly maintenance is an ongoing monthly cost. So you pay it once and then it's done. To me, as a business owner, we're a small company with maybe a dozen employees. That was like a no-brainer. It's like, done, easy decision. Okay, Chris, you want to come up next? I'll introduce Chris. He is going to talk about web development and custom design.
Thank you, Lisa. My name is Chris Weiser. Been a web developer and designer with Twin State for a while. Lisa talked about getting you to your business's front door. I want to talk a little bit about what does your front door look like and what gets people through it. So I like to start with something concrete, something that you might run into. So I have 2 friends who are getting married coming up pretty soon. So this is one that I got on the left, or on the right side. Coming up pretty soon, actually today. Community center, yeah, I mean, if I have time, I might go, I guess. Like, I don't know, it's kind of, maybe it'll be a good time. Whoa, got this other one. And cocktail hour starts at 4:30. Let's see, honey, whatever we got going on that day, we're gonna cancel that. We're gonna go to this because that looks like a great time. So your website can be the same idea. You get one chance to make a good first impression. Your website is often that first spot that people see. They may not walk in your front door like Lisa talked about, but they're definitely going to check out your website. There are some cool sites out there that will show you all sorts of like high design websites. Awards.com, www is one. We have a half dozen websites on that. Webby Awards is another one. And they're just sites to go check out, say, hey, what are people doing with media, video, just kind of experiential designs that kind of go on the high end of custom. I'll show you an example what that feels like when you're going between template and custom design. So these are a couple that we made. On one side is a library website made using a template. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's clean. Communication is there, all the information is there. Nice background image. And this is a custom one that we got to make. And there's a lot of things going on this site that we couldn't do on a template website. Template websites don't have these neon graphics that we were able to do. This one has hours right at the top, so depending on what day you visit, it'll tell you what hours are open that day. And we can do fun little animations like logos that turn on like it's a neon sign. Here's an example of a couple websites that use video differently. On the left side is something you typically see where you have a background video, kind of communicates what's going on with that company, text on top. On the right side is a little more visually interesting. You see these graphs going up, talking about profits that each one of these companies are making, and the video, the smoke is going up in the same direction, and it's masked behind, and it reinforces the image. It makes the experience more complete. Another example, doesn't have to necessarily be video, it can just be fun little things like your cursor moving over the screen. This one has something where it's just your cursor moving over and like as you're scrolling through. This is a media website, so they make media experiences. They want to show you all the cool stuff they're able to make, so they put a lot of effort into it. Before we move on, let me ask, who here has been part of a website redesign project at the start? Not employees. I hope so. How did it go?
Fine.
Was your experience with a template or a custom design?
I think it was a template.
Okay. So those are great too. I mean, they serve a good purpose. Here's some reasons that you might do custom over template though. So Lisa might have mentioned some of these, but your website typically lasts longer. I mean, a lot of companies will redesign their site every 3 to 4 years. Custom design sites have more intentionality behind them. They're using more design principles. They're typically going to last you at least 5 years. And they also tend to be faster. When you're custom coding things, you're able to tweak things, whereas templates come with some baggage. You're working with what they gave you. Of course, you stand out from competitors. Talk about this a little bit more in a little bit. It usually gives you better user retention. So people who are engaged with your website are more likely to purchase the thing or sign up for the contact form if they're engaged with the website. And most often you will also have more agency support. So if you have something new that you need, or if you just can't figure out that thing after they delivered it to you, you can call someone. And if it's a company like Twin State, they're going to pick up the phone and help you out. And as Lisa also said, most people like their sites better, and that counts for something. So templates, you might have seen a lot of this style design before, but yeah, they look pretty attractive. But a lot of them come down to this, where you're saying you're unique, but you're not actually unique. If you want to look like your competitors, people aren't going to see you as any different from your competitors. It's a chance to stand out from your competitors when you do a custom design. I've been going a lot over visuals, but it doesn't have to be just that. So this was a site that we did that had a custom search built into it. Like if I live in Bettendorf, how do I dispose of electronics there? This site will do that for me. Or maybe I want to really brand like this landfill that they're doing at Scott County Waste Commission. Custom drop-downs allow me to do that. Or there's even this animation on the Play Now button that encourages you to click on it, so it's more interactive. It doesn't have to be just websites either. I've been a part of several intranet redesigns, and the thing with intranets that we found is most companies are unique and have a unique set of needs for their users, a different set of content that they need to surface. And so each time that we do one, we find different findings. Apps, of course, like if you're using your phone, you've run across a bunch of custom apps, your Facebooks, your Instagrams. If you run across an app that looks like just a bunch of iOS links, chances are you're not getting a custom design. Desktop software, I mean, everyone knows Word, but sometimes you might have your own software that needs to stay local, and it needs to be designed to work for your users. Kiosks are another one that we run up against. If you have customers coming up and ordering from you directly in your front door, you want it to be branded, you want it to look like it belongs to your company, and have a good user experience. Basically, anything that you can tap or click on might be worth considering a custom design for. UI UX factors a lot more into software, but Kyrie will talk about this a little bit more. But for similar reasons as the website, when you use custom UI UX, you're going to have a more efficient process through your app. Your users will have a more efficient way of getting through and doing what they need to do. A longer serving website or a longer serving app. You get that agency support, and this is something we find pretty often is we'll have like a phase 1 of a project where we're doing the MVP of what someone needs, and then they have the next thing that they want, and then the next thing that they want, and they have an agency they can rely on for that. Employee satisfaction, again, if you're using something that was designed for your users, you've actually asked them what they needed, they're going to be more efficient using it, they're going to be more satisfied. And I think it can be stated more often than it is that you own that product. You're not beholden to some software as a service product that's, oh hey, they decided to change their design yesterday and now I can't find where that link is at. Or they changed their pricing structure, or they changed something else that I just have no say in and I just have to deal with it. Versus a custom design, I get to have all the say. So that was my bit about custom design. Any questions I can answer for anyone about that? Yes, sir.
What are some of the current trends that you see out there in the web design and such?
Last year it was custom typography, like IBM, Airbnb, they're all doing their own typefaces. So those are huge companies and they're allowed to do that, but that was kind of interesting. Along the lines of AI, you're going to see a lot more AI graphics because it makes things more accessible. For smaller companies, I think you can get away with that, depending on what your prompt was, using Midjourney or whatever it was, but there is an example that comes to my head. It was a movie poster for Civil War that came out earlier this year, and they were using AI to make their posters. And the one that I remember was, there's like an army boat in the river, and I think they were trying to get like one of those swan boats that people ride around in, but it produced an actual swan, so there's like a giant swan that they were behind. So yeah, AI will do what you tell it to, but it might take things like really directly.
I have a question. What
Yeah.
about video? Because I feel like on social media, for example, video is definitely what's preferred. But what
Video-
about website? Does it make it clunky? Does it make it operate more slowly? I mean, what are your recommendations there?
It can, depending on how you integrate it. I see two different uses for video. One is decorative, where you're trying to create excitement on the home page, and things that move are more exciting than things that don't. So that's just kind of the way things are. We're attracted to movement. Ever since our caveman days, we're trying to figure out what's coming after us or where our prey is. So video is useful for that. It also has to not detract from the message, though. That's why in one of those examples you saw the typography on top, and the video was kind of had a shade over it because they wanted to still make sure you read the message. But one of the websites I'm working on right now, the video is more content-oriented. It's actually YouTube Shorts, so they want to make sure that people can see these treatments that they do. And so we have that integrated as a playlist on the website. And performance isn't really too much of an issue if you use external sources. And we usually recommend uploading your videos to YouTube because not only are you having a place that you can host them and it plays them very quickly and very well, but you also have a social media presence now on YouTube. And like one of our former employees in sales told me that I think Google is the biggest search engine. Apparently YouTube is. People search things on YouTube. How do I fix my my sink, or how do I rewire this thing, or what does this sound in my car? Like the communication using video is hard to overstate. Does that answer your question?
And one thing I'll just make a point, since I mentioned social media, it made me think of it. So social media is great for brand elevation because we're all, scrolling on our phone. And so it's important to be there. But the first thing the consumer wants to do once they see something they like is go to a site. So social media is typically not what's going to necessarily sell your product, but it's going to make people aware that you exist and pull them in. But to really do business with you, they're going to go to your website or pick up the phone and call you. So there's another step. They'll find you, but if they want to interact with you, they're going to go to your site and check you out. And we can do interactions with social media and the website. I mean, that would be custom work to have. Jeff Lampy and I were looking at a custom site for someone where they had people that were active on social media, and then certain things could feed to their site. Now that would be custom work. That would be something that would be in a custom website project instead of a template.
Yeah.
How do you balance design and functionality when it comes to custom websites?
Functionality always first. I mean, a lot of the time, if someone has a specific need when it comes to commerce or like a contact form, we make sure that those are implemented, and then we make it pretty afterwards. So we apply the functionality, we make the website first, and then we do the styling afterwards. So that kind of covers making sure that you're prioritizing form over prioritizing function first and then form.
All right. Thank
All right.
you.
Turn over to Kyrie to talk about custom software development.
Stand up here. All right, my name's Kyrie. I'm the software and web manager at Twin State Tech. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about software development today, and do you need it? So the first thing I want to cover is, what is software? Anybody want to give it a go? Just name any piece of software you could think of. Justin, go ahead. Name a piece of software. Anything.
Word.
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks. Office. So apps on your phone. If you have iPhone, every square Every app you touch on your phone is an app. It is software. It's Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, all the desktop apps that you use on a day-to-day basis. It's going to be Facebook, Instagram, social medias, as we've been talking about, all have custom software code written behind them that make them work. Amazon, websites like, that do more than just, a website, e-commerce sites, things like that. The service that sends your email. So when you click send on an email, there's software that makes that email send to a recipient. So what do we do in software? So a lot of people, I've heard from a couple customers that they're not even sure what software necessarily does. So I'd like to let you into what we even do in software. And that's going to be custom software development, as I mentioned. And so this is going to be the process of designing, creating, and deploying software that are specific to your business needs. And so that can be a lot of different things. There's a big talk about SaaS applications that got mentioned. That stands for software as a service. And so those are the apps you can buy in the App Store. Those are just things that you can buy that are already ready to go. Custom software development is from the ground up and specific to whatever you want it to be. We have existing software support. So you may have a piece of software that was written by a former employee, maybe no longer there, maybe it's very hard for you to keep software development on staff. Well, with us, you can have an entire team to support you and support that piece of software that you've maybe had in your business for a very long time. We can make it better. We can make improvements. We can put new features on it. And lastly, we have staff augmentation. So what that is, you are basically paying for a software developer that you don't have to hire, you don't have to interview, you don't have to vet them, you don't have to wonder about their skill that has already been done by Twin State, and you're essentially paying for said person. And then the big question is, when do you need it? How do you know that you need a custom software application over a SaaS application that you can buy in the store? And that's going to be tailored solutions. So as I mentioned, it needs to fit your business need. And if you have specific, business requirements, you have specific pricing that you need. As Chris alluded to earlier, you want to make sure that your UI stays the same. It stays consistent with your business. You want to stand out from your competitors. Things like that, as I mentioned here. When you have custom software, you look different than everyone else on the market. You don't look the same. Scalability, so it's going to grow with you. You may have a small business like Lisa where you only have maybe 12 people and you need something small. You may grow to 70, 80, 100 people and you need that app to support that many employees. And if you have custom software, it can scale with you. We've had a lot of customers that they'll get SaaS applications that are catered for small businesses and they have to transition and move all their data to another app. And that can be really painful for a lot of customers. And then integration. So the big thing is, how does my software talk to one another? How can I make QuickBooks talk to my system that I've used forever? Some SaaS applications just will not let you. They may not have APIs that allow you to connect. An API is just a way to make software talk to one another. Very simply put. And if you're worried about custom software, so maybe software that already exists that can't integrate with other things, we can build that for you as well and make that software talk to different pieces. And then lastly is going to be efficiency and productivity. And so this is going to be if there are someone in your company who has way too much on their plate, they can't get everything done that they need to get done in the workday, let software and automations handle that for you. These are things that we can build for you. These are things that we can help you with. Now, there are some drawbacks to software development. I won't sit up here and pretend that everything's all great. The initial cost can be very expensive. It's just reality. Software is not a cheap venture. Project timeline can be lengthy. Our usual projects range from around 3 to 6 months. Obviously based on requirements and what you're asking us to build, it can last longer than that. However, that is pretty average for us. Your software will need maintenance. As we talked about your website, we've talked a lot about web maintenance. Your software needs maintenance too. As things go wrong with it, as you have new feature requests, as new best practices get implemented, we need to keep that stuff up to date so your stuff stays secure, your data stays secure, and your software continues to work and perform well. And then inheriting existing software needs. So we need onboarding to do that. So as I mentioned in what we do inherit existing software. It does take us some time. We can't just absorb it and know everything right away, right? We're gonna need some time to work through that piece of software and really be able to help you and be efficient. And so this is a little bit about our project process. Now this is just obviously in the probably more salesy part. So if you were interested in just seeing if custom software is something you may want to use, we're more than happy to talk to you. And so what that'll include is an introduction call at step one. And so what that call will go over is that'll help us understand what you may need from us. So what is your problem? That is what we're trying to figure out, is what is the problem. So the problem may be not enough staff to fulfill payroll. That's what we want to hear. We want to know how we can help you with your problem. And so the step two is we'll analyze those requirements. So if you have specific login requirements, you want people to log in with their Microsoft 365 credentials, which is called SSO, single sign-on. We will take that requirements and build that into step three, which is the estimate. So the estimate is just going to be, how long are we going to take? What does the project timeline look like? How much money is it going to cost you? Obviously, that's important. And then it's going to outline those requirements that you talked about in the introduction call, so that way you know exactly what we're building. And then step four is the contract meeting. So that is where we'll go over everything we've put together for you.
Carrie, what are some typical business problems you encounter during that process?
Yeah, so a lot of business problems that we come up with is honestly, it comes up a lot with existing custom software where it just looks old and people want something up to date. Some people want something scalable. It was built, maybe 10 years ago when they had 30 employees and now they have 200, so it's one of those things that the biggest problem is they want software to grow with their company, or they have an existing piece of software, or they find it very hard to keep software developers on staff. If one person knows everything, obviously that can be, that's a single point of failure that you don't want. That's a very common problem as well, where, one developer works at a company, they know everything, and when they leave, there's no plan B. And so that is probably what our biggest customer base, are the biggest problems that are faced today. So thank you for that question. And so I do want to show you before and after. This is a desktop application that was written for Liquid Grow. This was a older application that this is just kind of what it looks like. Obviously it looks very old and it looks like something that, may have been written, 15 years ago. And we made this. And so what this is when I say desktop app, it means that you have to be on a computer. You have to be on a laptop or a PC or whatever. You can't actually pull it up on your phone. You can't, just have it on the internet. It is specific to a laptop or a computer. And you have to download it and you have to do it that way. And what this is that you see on the right, this is actually a mobile app. And so we built this to be on your phone. And so a business problem, as Randy actually alluded to, the business problem here was that when sales reps are out in the field with farmers, they needed to be able to calculate pricing right then and there. You don't want to wait, write down all the information, go all the way back to your computer, put it in the calculator, which is what on the left is. It's not popped up, but that's what it did. And you have to remember all that, call the farmer back, but the farmer wants the price while you're there. And so we created this mobile app to solve that problem, and that is what we do. We solve problems. And obviously it looks a lot nicer. It's new. It's on the phones, as I mentioned, so it solves that business case. And so let us understand your needs. And so just a quick recap of some things I talked about is key advantages. And so that's going to be the enhanced efficiency, scalability, improved security, competitive edge, and integrations. And you can schedule a consultation, contact information, sales, or myself, which is Software and Web Manager, and that's my email there if you ever want to talk.
Harry, I have a question. How much are you seeing now app usage? Now it's like you have to have a website. You have to have a website or you don't exist as a real business, basically. What about the app? How much is that becoming a norm? Do you see trends? Like, is that the next step where businesses have to start having something that can be accessed? Having a site that will adjust for mobile use isn't enough. You need to have an actual app that they can have.
Yeah, so what I've noticed, especially in a lot of businesses, is apps for like scheduling. I know a lot of the Gen Z, younger millennials, that's how we like to schedule our appointments. We don't like to go to a website, have to fill out an entire form. We like to just download an app, create an account, and be able to easily schedule appointments that way. That's a huge thing that I've started to see. An app just makes you look more real, as Lisa mentioned. If you have a website but no app, the younger generation may not, take it as seriously, if you will. But like I said, the biggest thing also when it comes to apps is that a lot of people have desktop apps. And desktop apps definitely fit a specific niche, and they are viable for a lot of business needs, but a lot of things are moving to the web or to phones. I mean, that's just a reality in today's world. So when you think about updating your software or getting into the mobile app space, it just makes you look more real, it makes you look more competitive, and as millennials and Gen Zers get older, they're going to be the future business owners. And so when you think about your business being built to last, mobile apps are going to be the way to go for the future. So, yeah.
On your last slide, you mentioned a consultation. What do those look like?
Yeah, so a consultation is going to be, it's actually the same thing as what step one was, the introduction call. So what that's going to be is let us understand your problem. So talk to us about what your problem is. You don't have to know what piece of software you want. Let us, we can define that for you based on what your problems are and what your business requirements are. So that's what the consultation is going to go over, and it's just going to help us understand what you may need us to do. It's going to help us understand your budget, what you're looking to spend. So that way we can be, realistic with you and work within whatever you are looking to, spend or put into a project. Any other questions? All right, thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Kyrie. Very good. Sure, let's clap for Kyrie. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. And we're here to answer any questions. We'll be hanging around if you have questions afterwards. Hopefully all of you had some interaction with one of our team members. If there's anything else that we didn't cover, we're happy to stick around. There's plenty of food and there are still drinks out there. Also, we want to make sure that you take your survey because we're going to do a drawing for a Whitey's gift card. So fill out your survey and then turn those in. If you don't mind, you can bring them right up here to this table. And when you're in the survey, first of all, let us know if you want to sign up for the October event. We can go ahead and put your name on the list. Also, we really do value your feedback, especially if you have program ideas for 2025. So we're already starting to do business planning for 2025, sorry to say, it's that time of year already. But we will be putting on a program series, and we'll have speakers from our company. We might consider bringing speakers in that aren't part of our business. Like I said, we want this to be an objective way for you to get information and learn more so that you can be as successful as you want to be. And so if you have ideas for programs, for speakers, locations, cool places to hold these things, please give us some feedback. And we just want to say thank you very much for coming today. So that's it.
Lisa, you want to go one more slide? It's our event.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay, that's it. October 29th. And then you all have to save the date. So this is going to be really fun. Right before Halloween. Definitely going to have Halloween candy. I told Kyrie to make this slide really Halloween-y, and that's what he did, is a ghost and a pumpkin. That does not meet my expectation. I was thinking a huge haunted house graphic. But Kyrie's going to have a really good costume. He committed on the 29th, so.